As a Baptist preacher, I know the values of this state are not in line with what I understand the scriptures to teach. And I think Beto knows that. The thing I admire very most about Beto O'Rourke, as I've gotten to know him, is this is a principled person. He actually believes that what he's attempting to do is called public service.
There were 21,000 people in Tom Green County in the year of our Lord 2020 who were eligible to vote in the most important presidential election of our lifetimes and didn't cast a ballot. 21,000 votes just in this county. And folks, we only lost to Ted Cruz in 2018 by 216,000 votes. You take the 21,000 that didn't vote last time, the more than 5,000 that have been added to the rolls, we're talking about some real numbers right here in this community. Because the state is shirking its part of the responsibility and shifting more of it on the local property taxpayer. It's hard to hire and retain the teachers we need to deliver that instruction. In this community, the average teacher is underpaid by $15,000 a year against the average teacher nationally. $15,000 a year. In the state of Texas, it's $7,500. We need to pay them more, at least $15,000 more each year going forward on average. We can do that by making sure there's some justice in our property taxes. Too many corporations get out of their responsibility of paying their fair share of property taxes, which means the burden rests on homeowners in San Angelo and across the state. So we're going to change that. We're also going to make sure that the state of Texas pays a greater share of the burden of education in this state versus the local property taxpayer having to do that. It's time that the state steps up to fund its primary responsibility, which is the education of every young person in the state of Texas. When I'm governor, we're going to make that happen.
My name is Isla Johnson, and as you know, I'm not a Democrat, but if you get elected, I want to know what you're going to do about the wall. We need to stop them people from coming over here.
Isla, thank you for being here. Listen, here's where I think we can agree. Right now, we do not have an orderly system for people to come to this country. Right now, if you are living in Mexico and you want to join your sibling who lives here in San Angelo as a legal permanent resident or a citizen, the line is 20 or 21 years long.
Listen,
so folks,
what we have in Greg Abbott right now is someone who's creating more chaos on the border. We need someone who's going to bring order to where Texas meets Mexico. As someone who lives on the border in El Paso, I know that means that we've got to rewrite our country's immigration laws. We need to make sure that we follow the laws when it comes to asylum seekers who come to this country. They should follow the law. We should follow the law as well. And it won't be done through walls. It won't happen through activating 10,000 members of the Guard who aren't able to do much of anything at all and are forced to leave their families and communities and kids right now. We have to have common sense solutions that Republicans and Democrats alike work on. And that's going to be comprehensive through legislation led by the state of Texas.
Yesterday in Canadian Texas, a gentleman walked up. He's a barber. He's the only barber in a 50-mile radius in this part of Texas. And he said, Beto, you will not believe the hoops through which I had to jump in order to get my barber's license, in part because I'm a convicted felon. And I said, well, what was your conviction for? When did this happen? 1970, 2 years before I was born, for possession of marijuana. This guy still has it on his record. And what we know is that when you are arrested for marijuana, you have to check a box on every employment application form saying that you've got that conviction. Makes it a little bit less likely that you get hired. It makes it harder to get student loans to attend college here in San Angelo. Your options are constricted. Your opportunities are narrowed. And for what? We spend $500 million a year locking people up in the state of Texas. We lose out on another $500 million that we could receive if we taxed it as a regulated substance here. So not only to your question, are we going to legalize marijuana, we will expunge the arrest records of anyone who has served time for marijuana possession because it is unjust. Thank you. Appreciate it. In time, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. My proposal is that we stop selling. and that we buy back those that exist. I think reasonable people can disagree on this.
I'm not interested in taking anything from anyone. What I want to make sure that we do is defend the Second Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment. When I'm governor, we're going to defend the Second Amendment. We're also going to work with gun owners and non-gun owners, Republicans and Democrats, to protect the lives of the people of this state through common sense legislation, like a universal background check. Anyone buying a firearm, we're going to make sure that we do a background check to protect the safety of our community, of our state, and by extension, of this country. As Texans, as someone who grew up with firearms in the household, who grew up hunting and having those guns and having the responsibility of that firearm and knowing the accountability that comes with it, I want us to get back to the proud tradition of responsible gun ownership in the state of Texas. What Greg Abbott is doing with permitless carry at a time that more cops and law enforcement are shot down in this state than any other is not responsible, is not part of our tradition. Let's get back to who we know we are. And as governor, I want to make sure that we do that.
Are you going to take away firearms?
No, we are going to focus on making sure that we protect the Second Amendment while making sure that we protect the lives of the people in this state. So we can begin with universal background checks, safe storage laws, extreme risk protection orders. Most of us in Texas, gun owners and non-gun owners alike, can get behind common sense solutions like those.